The Daytona 500 is one of the most exciting races in NASCAR, but it is also one of the most dangerous. The speeds are extreme and crashes can be brutal. Sometimes cars can even go airborne. Ryan Preece knows this all too well. In his career, he has flipped through the air at Daytona twice. The second crash was even more terrifying than the first. It raised serious questions about NASCAR's safety measures, and Preece is not convinced that enough is being done.
Three Fords have separated themselves. A big push coming now for Harvick. And around goes a couple cars. Preece upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass. Ryan Preece.
In the 2023 Coke Zero Sugar 400, Preece was involved in a horrifying crash. With just 5 laps to go, his car rolled violently through the infield grass before coming to a stop in flames. Everyone watching held their breath, fearing the worst. Miraculously, Preece walked away unharmed. NASCAR responded by repaving the grass area, hoping to prevent a similar incident, but less than 2 years later, it happened again. This time, it was not just a rollover, his number 60 car was launched into the air before slamming hard into the wall. The entire NASCAR community watched in shock as his car finally came to a stop. Preece later revealed that his only thought during those terrifying moments was his daughter. He knew he was lucky to walk away, but luck is not something that should determine a driver's safety. He believes that relying on luck is dangerous. Many other drivers feel the same way. Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, and other veteran drivers have spoken up. They want NASCAR to do more to keep cars from going airborne. Elton Sawyer addressed the incident. He assured fans and drivers that NASCAR was investigating. Officials would examine the wrecked car, talk to Preece and his team, and determine if changes needed to be made. Sawyer emphasized that the safety measures in place had worked. The car's structure held up, and Preece was able to walk away. But for Preece, walking away does not mean the crash should be ignored. Daytona International Speedway has a history of brutal crashes. Cars going airborne is not new, but the way Preece's car flipped was alarming. When the front of his car lifted, it almost looked like a wheelie on a motorcycle. Instead of landing back on all 4 wheels, it took a dangerous twist before slamming into the wall. This is what has drivers worried. They do not want to wait until something tragic happens before changes are made. Some fans argue that NASCAR should act immediately. Others believe that as long as drivers are walking away, the current safety measures are enough. But Preece does not want to be the example that finally forces NASCAR to act. He does not want to be the reason changes are made after it is too late. His concern is understandable. In the summer of 2024, Michael McDowell went airborne at Daytona. In the same race, Josh Berry had an even scarier crash.
Whoa! Berry's gone, and he goes up and over! Huge hit for Josh Berry.
His car went into the wall and spun on its roof for nearly a minute. Both drivers walked away, but the crashes were terrifying to watch. Preece believes this should not keep happening. If there is a way to prevent cars from lifting off the ground, NASCAR should find it and implement it now. NASCAR has come a long way in terms of safety. The last fatal crash in the NASCAR Cup Series was in 2001 when Dale Earnhardt Sr. lost his life at Daytona.
Y va a haber bandera blanca. ¡Ahí le pegan a Carlos Sainz! No, qué golpe. ¡Qué golpe! Eso no se vale.
Se acaba de dar un golpe
Eso
en la
no
parte,
se
en la
vale.
parte de atrás.
Eso no se vale.
In NASCAR Mexico, the last fatality was in 2009 when Carlos Pardo died. That means it has been more than 15 years since a fatal crash in NASCAR's top divisions. But just because no one has died does not mean the risk is gone. Crashes like Preece's remind everyone that NASCAR is still dangerous. Drivers know the risks when they step into their cars. They accept that every race could be their last, but that does not mean NASCAR should not take every possible step to make the sport safer. Many drivers have voiced concerns over the years. Some changes have been made, but some believe it is not enough. The car of tomorrow was introduced in 2007 with better crash protection. The Gen 6 car improved safety further, and now the next gen car is supposed to be the safest ever. But crashes like Preece's make drivers question if this is really true. Preece's crash was not just a normal wreck, it was violent, chaotic, and nearly disastrous. The car flipped multiple times before landing in a dangerous position. NASCAR officials said that the safety measures in place helped Preece survive. But drivers are wondering, what happens if the next driver is not as lucky? The risk of going airborne has always been a problem at Daytona and Talladega. The combination of high speeds and tight racing makes it almost unavoidable. When cars get turned the wrong way, the air can lift them off the ground. Roof flaps and other safety features are designed to stop this from happening, but sometimes they fail. When that happens, the results can be terrifying. One solution that has been suggested is slowing the cars down, but that is not as easy as it sounds. Fans love high-speed racing and drivers do too. Reducing speeds too much could change the entire nature of the sport, but there has to be a balance between excitement and safety. Another idea is improving the aerodynamics of the cars. If engineers can find a way to keep the front end down, it could reduce the chances of cars lifting off. But designing cars to stay grounded at high speeds is a difficult challenge. The safest option might be changing the tracks themselves. Some have suggested adding more banking or modifying the shape of the corners, but Daytona and Talladega are legendary tracks. Any major changes would be controversial, and no matter what NASCAR decides to do, one thing is clear. Drivers do not want to wait until a tragedy happens. Ryan Preece's violent crash was another reminder that no matter how much progress has been made, there is always more work to do. Drivers should not have to wait until something terrible happens before NASCAR makes improvements. Safety will always be a topic of debate, but the sport must keep evolving to protect the people behind the wheel. At the same time, NASCAR is facing another major challenge: keeping its audience engaged. In the past, millions of people tuned in to watch races, but the numbers have been dropping for years. In 2005, the Daytona 500 had 19.4 million viewers, and by 2023, that number had fallen to 8.2 million. The sport needs something new, something fresh to bring in younger fans. This is where Cleese McFarland comes in. Cletus is not a traditional race car driver. He did not grow up racing go-karts or working his way up through small leagues like most professionals. Instead, he built his career on YouTube, making fun, high-energy videos about cars, racing, and crazy stunts. His real name is Garrett Mitchell, and before he became a well-known figure in motorsports, he was just a college student studying law. But his true passion was always cars, and he found a way to turn that passion into a career. His big break came while working with 1320 Video. One of his most famous events is the Freedom 500, where drivers race old police cars, creating some of the most entertaining racing content on the internet. Now, before you leave, just don't forget to give this video a like, smash that subscribe button, and also ring that notification bell while you're down there.